Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Luke Cage Season 2. Now that Luke Cage is done with the Defenders, now he has to live in the spotlight now that he's a free man and all that stuff, as the protector of Harlem, or Harlem's Jesus as he can also be called. He gets called a lot of different names in that first episode. However, he has to deal with a new character who I cannot understand for the life of me. That being Bushmaster, because that Jamaican accent is very difficult to understand sometimes. Even the subtitles aren't helping. However, that's not all he has to deal with, because in the background, Mariah Stokes is still around, being a baddie as well. So Luke Cage has a lot on his plate. So then let's talk about the casting, shall we, of this season. Starting off, we have Mike Colter back as Luke Cage, and like I said, he now has to deal with that spotlight, everyone looking at him and wanting him to help. And you know what happens to people when they're in the spotlight. Once the thing goes wrong, you get to blame. You get to be blamed for everything that goes wrong. No matter what, you're always going to be the one who gets to be blamed. And yeah, the way that he handles that is actually very interesting. It's just I don't really like what they do with him at the end of the season, but that's more for the spoiler talk, obviously. And also, this season is about his relationship with his dad, and I would like to actually mention him since the actor passed away. So Reg E. Cathy portrays Reverend James Lucas, and I don't really have much to say about him because he's not really a main cast member, and those are usually the ones that I focus on. But the fact that the final episode had him in memory of the guy, then I feel obliged to also mention that as well, because it's he was a good actor. I liked him a lot in this show. The way that he talked to his son, I mean, he wasn't really the best dad, let's be honest here, but at least he tried later on. Next up, we have Simone Missick, who portrays Misty Knight, or Mercedes Knight as well, who is now having to deal with having a subby for an arm, because last time, in Defenders at least, it got cut off, so she kind of has to deal with that. Also, she kind of quit the police force, but then once back in, so she has to also deal with the whole trouble that comes from Bushmaster and Mariah Stokes. Then after that, we have Mustafa Shakir as John McIver, also known as Bushmaster, our main villain in a way of this season, and his motivation is entirely based around Mariah Dillard. Entirely. He wants Black Mariah to be gone. He hates her because of the fact that their families have an interconnected legacy together, and he just wants her gone. And I liked him a lot, especially when he ran around to the people, and every time someone said Mariah Dillard, he would be like, Stokes, Mariah Stokes. It's not Mariah Dillard. No matter what, she can try to change her last name, but she'll always be a Stokes, and he hates the Stokes family. And seeing the way that his plan unravels, I very much enjoyed seeing that. Also, he is the main antagonist of Luke Cage because he also has powers. So he's really the only one to be able to give us action sequences with Luke Cage, to be honest, because everyone else, you know, like, what's Mariah gonna do, huh? She can throw 100 goons at him, but she can't stand up to him. So we need a villain who can temporarily knock out Luke Cage, and that's why Bushmaster is here. But that's not to say that I did not enjoy his performance on screen. Next up, we have, obviously, Alfre Woodard as Mariah Stokes, and she is just like the first season. That's all I can really say, and to be honest, I am happy that Marvel did not waste this actress, because initially, you know, she appeared in Civil War in the MCU, and that was it. I'm happy that she also appeared in Luke Cage, because her acting talents would have been wasted, because she is really good in the role of Mariah. She really owns up to that role in the emotional scenes, in the breakdown scenes, in all of the scenes, even in the happy scenes. She gives it her all, and she is fantastic in that role, and I'm so happy that she was actually chosen and not just wasted in Civil War. Then next up, we have Theo Rossi back as Shades, or Hernan Alvarez, and you know what? He is once again the same as before, being in the background, playing on Mariah to kind of push her up into the criminal world, and he does a good job at that. But what they do more towards the end of the season, I like as well, because there are rules and you don't break the rules, simple as that. But I'm a big fan, especially with something that specifically happens in this season. I really like the way that the actor portrayed Shades during those moments. And then finally, to end off the cast listing, we have Gabrielle Dennis as Tilda Johnson, the daughter of Mariah Stokes, and she also did a good job in the role. She doesn't really get a lot to do in this season specifically, you know, because of the way that the season unfolds. Like, she's not really that big of a player, but her connection to Mariah, and especially the truth behind her, which apparently apparently I spoiled early on in the spoiler talk for season 2. The thing is, I didn't know that it was such a big reveal until we saw it. But she also does a really good job. And overall, yeah, the cast is good in this season. The problem that I have with this season is mainly it feels too long. I will say that I hate it, but it feels too long. Like they don't have enough material. However, unlike Jessica Jones season 2, this season doesn't really get into the boring part. It's more like, okay, so now we're doing all of this in order to be able to extend it. Because like more so towards episode 11, I feel like the season could have been done, you know? By the way, episode 10 is my favorite episode of this whole series. But like with episode 11, I was like, we can just end this now, right? And it's like, no, we can't because we got more stuff to do. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. And then the ending is something that I am also not the biggest fan of, personally. I would have loved to see what they could have done with that in a third season, but we ain't getting that thing. So it just ends in a way on a cliffhanger, but also not really a cliffhanger, but kind of a cliffhanger. Like, it sets up a conflict for season 3 that's never going to happen, which I'm actually sad about, the fact that they just got canceled. Now, when this season was canceled, this was also around the time that Iron Fist was canceled as well, I was like, oh, so they're gonna release a Heroes for Hire stuff. Marvel, if you're listening, which you're not, you can still do that. You can still give us a Heroes for Hire show and maybe wrap up the plot points from the ending of this season and also the ending of Iron Fist season 2 as well. Would love to see that. So now let's get into the final verdict. So my final verdict for Luke Cage season 2 is going to be an 8 out of 10. I very much enjoyed it, even though the season did kind of feel like stretched out. I still very much enjoyed this season, especially for Luke Cage, but also Bushmaster and his hatred for Stokes. So thank you all so very much for watching, and let me know what you guys thought about the season in the comment section down below. And with that being said, do you guys have enjoyed? And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new, if not, sorry, turn on notifications, and don't forget, check out the Let's Play channel, link in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll see you guys next week when we go and deal with that immortal Iron Fisting guy. Bye!